Hello everyone. Are you interested in Teachers College? Or just are wondering what it's like? Well, in this video I'm going to briefly discuss my experiences through my first term of Teachers College, as well as what I've learned over the course of the term moving into my second term. This will be the first video in a series discussing my experiences in Teachers College. And I'll be talking about what exams look like, what the schedule in Teachers College looks like, how much work we're expected to do, so on and so forth. I will also discuss some of my big assignments in Teachers College, as well as what the placements look like. So I guess we'll start off by talking about Orientation Week. During our Orientation Week, which started on August 30th, we learned about the courses that we need to take, as well as the governing bodies of the teachers in Ontario, and what the term was going to look like in general, as a result of the current global crisis, let's call it. So for example, this meant that all of our courses were going to be delivered online, and that this was going to be the first year that our university taught the majority of their courses online, meaning that instructors were going to have to change their previous plans that they made for the term, as well as adjust assignments and weighting, participation grades, for example, and really final exams. That was a big thing that changed. During this week, we were shipped a welcome package from the university that contained a couple cool face masks that they designed, as well as some wireless earbuds, some hand sanitizer, and an entire welcome booklet with some glitter inside of it. And you can only imagine my surprise when I opened up the package and there was a little poof of glitter that just went everywhere. So following Orientation Week, we were introduced to our professors and the classes that we were going to take. So for the first course that I took, it was completely asynchronous outside of the first week, meaning that there were no scheduled meeting times, there were just a list of tasks that we had to do, and we can complete it at our own leisure. So this course, titled Studies in the Communities and Their Schools, actually ran for 2 days in this first week, and we got introduced to the projects that we were going to be doing. So this course is partnered with a practicum, or a placement as some schools might call them, with a community organization that focuses on teaching either students or young adults and connects the experience between the schools and the communities that they are in. It's actually a pretty cool course, and I'm going to make a separate video on it because I think it's definitely worth mentioning and talking about more. After the first couple days of this course, we moved into our community practicum and then into our regular scheduled classes. And I'll throw a screenshot of my schedule up on the screen now. So the first synchronous course that I had to take in Teachers College was titled Adolescent Development and Health. This course centered around the question of how do educators understand the developing adolescents through the wider world. The topics that we covered in this course include mental health in the family or school life of an adolescent, theories of the mind, language, and emotional life, as well as studies of peer and school influence, gender, sexuality, race, and conflict between students. Overall, this course was really great, and I would heavily suggest if you're interested in learning about the development of adolescence by reading the book Inside Lives by Margot Waddell. The main takeaways from this course involved understanding the shifts between the paranoid schizoid state of mind and the depressive state of mind, as well as numerous defense mechanisms that young adults and adolescents use to protect themselves from trauma. These defense mechanisms then further influence their personality, which in turn affects how they interact with others in the future. Moving on to the second course I took, which was titled Inquiries into Learning. This course examined a range of contemporary theories of learning and considers how these diverse theoretical approaches to learning help us understand ourselves and others, the conditions for teaching and learning, and the imperatives of instruction and communities. To sum this course up, it was all about how to ask questions, and the importance that questions have in the classroom and the learning environment. Overall, this course was probably one of the more enjoyable ones throughout the term, as it taught us how to teach and what is required for student-centered learning. For example, we discussed the 3 types of questions, the first being factual, questions that you can ask about a text and what is explicitly written there. Normally in this case, students just rehash exactly what they read, and not much deep learning takes place. The second type of question is evaluative, which focuses around the dichotomy of is this good or bad, do you agree or disagree, where students can give their own opinions of the text. And the third type of question, which is arguably the most important for students and for teachers inside the classroom, are interpretive questions. These type of questions allow students to relate their learnings and experiences to those of their peers, and as a group come together and engage in deep discussion. This course focused on how to apply interpretive discussions to a variety of sources, such as journal articles, novels, autobiographies, etc., and how we would use those in a classroom to connect with our students, to connect our students to each other, and to connect our students to the communities that they live in. If any of you like what you're hearing about these courses and want to learn a little more, please just pop a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or I'll make a separate video about some of my experiences in these courses and discuss a little bit more about what we learned in them. Obviously, right now I'm trying to discuss my first term as an entirety, so I'm not going deep into each individual course, but if that's what you would like to see and hear, I'm more than happy to do so. So next came my third course, which was called New Media and Digital Literacy. This course examined new media technologies such as video, infographics, many of which are created online, so for example through Canva or YouTube, etc., and the literacies along with them that are prevalent in our current culture, as well as their increasing importance in education. In this course we explored an array of new media technologies and the emergent literacies, as well as considering their implications towards pedagogy, the current curriculum, and the socio-economic landscape. So the best part about this course was that we got a lot of experience with these new media. So for example, we created infographics, short graphic novels, we made our own personal websites, as well as learning how to film and edit videos. The biggest takeaway from this course was learning about critical pedagogy and critical literacies. So for those of you who don't know what pedagogy is, which I can imagine if you're watching these videos you've probably heard a lot of, essentially it's a method of teaching. So for example, critical pedagogy is also called the pedagogy of the oppressed, so the teaching practice of teaching oppressed students for social justice and equity. This involves helping students question and challenge the dominant narratives that are pervasive throughout our society and education system. In other words, it's a practice of teaching that helps students achieve critical consciousness. So moving on to my fourth synchronous course of the term, teaching chemistry in the intermediate and senior division, this course focused on how to teach chemistry to grade 7 to 12 students. I would say that this course, maybe outside of the Inquiries into Learning course, was probably the most valuable from this term, as it really taught about the theories and practices and philosophies of teaching science in a classroom. We covered some of the policies of science teaching, we talked about assessment methods, unit planning, lesson planning, and how to make cool science demonstrations. I think this course was absolutely great, as it inspired me to discuss a lot of the content that I'm going to be covering here on my YouTube channel, such as my science demonstration series. And lastly, the last course that I had to take this term is called the Foundations of Education. Here we learned about the philosophical, sociological, and historical foundations of our current education systems and the curriculum that we are currently using. Most of the content in this course discussed the political context of the education laws or systems that were being put in place from roughly the 1870s until now, with specific reference to the development of compulsory public schooling, as well as residential schooling in Canada. Here we also connected these educational theories and content to our current practicum placement with our community organization. And again, this course had a large focus on critical pedagogy. So now that I've sort of gone through the classes that I've taken, I want to cover some of the skills that I've learned over the course of this first term. So I'll be honest, the first skill, and probably the most important one, is time management and learning to read quickly. So obviously right now we're currently in the middle of solely online classes as a result of numerous lockdowns. However, the amount of readings that we had to complete was astronomical. So for each course we had roughly about 4 to 6 hours of reading, on top of our assignment time, class time, group work time, etc. Most of the courses had weekly assignments and reflections on the readings, meaning that they were mandatory. And we also had our larger projects, such as writing long essays, filming and editing videos, and creating various artifacts, such as a website, our portfolio, etc. Overall, this meant that for each course there was roughly about 12 hours of work, so for about 5 to 6 synchronous classes, as well as an asynchronous class. This meant somewhere between 60 and 70 hours a week. Now, obviously some of us were a little bit faster and some of us were a little bit slower at work, but it definitely was a lot to manage if you have a part-time job on the side, if you have other things that you're trying to learn, or just want free time in general. And this is without our school-based placement, which would usually run either 1 day a week throughout the term, or for a single block placement that lasts roughly 2 to 3 weeks. So overall, it's a lot to manage, but it is a lot of fun. Outside of the academic realm of Teachers College, there was a large emphasis put on building our portfolios, attending a couple career fairs, as well as making friends within the program. When we entered the program and being in the Greater Toronto area, a lot of the people that we have classes with are the people who we are going to be working with for the next 40 years of our life, let's say. So it's important for all of us to get to know each other, get along, and just start to network in general. From my experience in Teachers College, everyone is there for different reasons. Some people might just want to end up as a teacher. Some people might eventually want to become administrators, so vice principals or principals in school boards. Some might even aim higher to be superintendents. Some actually aren't interested in teaching at all. They would rather go into curriculum development or the development of programs such as the Specialist High Skills Major program or the AP program. And to go along with this diversity of career paths, we also had a very diverse group of students. There's a large number of international students as well as domestic students. Some people were over 50 or 60 years old just trying to go back to school for something else and wanting to move on to a different job or career. Some people were 21 years old and haven't completed a full bachelor degree yet. And then there's other people like myself who have already worked for a while as well as completing a master's degree, which obviously is a massive career change. Overall, Teachers College has been great so far, and it really celebrated the diversity of our class and gave us the option to learn from each other. Anyways everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to making more videos in this series. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe, and even leave a comment down below. It's especially useful for a new starting creator like myself. Stay tuned for more videos everyone, and have a great day. Bye!